Welcome back to Shadows of Justice, where love, loyalty, and darkness collide in ways no one ever expects. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Tonight's case begins where most stories end, at a wedding. A day meant for joy, a day meant for promises, until a single confession shattered everything. Because sometimes the truth doesn't whisper. Sometimes it storms down the aisle. This is the chilling story of a bride, a brother, and a past that refused to stay buried. Willow Ridge, Montana, June 12, 2021. The sky was the kind of soft blue photographers dream about. Rows of white chairs lined a decorated barn. Lanterns glowed overhead, and fresh-cut flowers filled the air with sweetness. Guests murmured with excitement. This was the wedding the town had been waiting for. 27-year-old Emily Prescott had never looked more radiant. Her pearl-beaded dress shimmered as she stood behind the barn doors, ready to walk toward the man she believed was her future, Daniel Cross, the town's dependable EMT. But before she could step forward, a disturbance rippled through the crowd. Her younger brother, Michael Prescott, emerged from the shadows of the barn. Dressed in a suit that didn't quite fit and trembling like a man walking into fire, he gripped a broken silver necklace so tightly it cut into his palm. Guests whispered. Emily blinked in confusion. Daniel stiffened. Michael stepped directly into the aisle. The music faltered. Mothers gasped. Phones rose into the air. And with a voice that cracked but didn't falter, Michael announced, "Stop this wedding. Emily, you can't marry him. I need everyone to listen, because I killed someone, and I think your fiancé helped cover it up." The barn fell into a stunned silence so complete it felt unreal. And that is where the unraveling began. Michael Prescott lived a quiet, solitary life, the kind most people never noticed. At 24, he worked part-time at the animal shelter and spent his evenings with books and crime documentaries. He wasn't dangerous. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't the kind of man who disrupted weddings. Which is why when a detective knocked on his door one icy December night, nothing could have prepared him for what came next. Detective Sarah Hollis, stern-faced and sharp-eyed, stepped into his apartment with the folder under her arm. She wasn't there to make small talk. She was reopening a cold case the town had forgotten. The disappearance of Travis Dean, a local man last seen in 2011. Michael barely remembered Travis, a delivery driver who used to linger too long around the general store where Emily worked as a teenager. Hollis's voice was steady as she revealed why she had come. Human remains had been discovered after a wildfire swept through the woods. DNA confirmed it was Travis, and evidence suggested the killer was someone close to the Prescott family. "Michael," she said quietly, "I think your father knows more about this than he ever admitted." Michael's blood went cold. His father, Patrick Prescott, was a respected but feared former sheriff's deputy, a man with rigid principles and a temper that left dents in walls. He didn't want to believe it, but Detective Hollis needed access to sheds and storage spaces only family could open. And Michael, torn between fear and curiosity, agreed to help. He would regret that decision for the rest of his life. They found the metal box buried beneath old uniforms and equipment. Dust coated everything, but one item stuck out immediately. Photos. Dozens of photos of Travis Dean, some recent, some from a decade earlier. Many taken secretly, from behind bushes, near sidewalks, outside windows. Detective Hollis's expression hardened. These were taken by someone who kept tabs on him for years. Michael stared at the back of a photo. His father's handwriting marked it. Travis Dean, unstable. His pulse hammered. Why had Patrick Prescott been watching Travis so closely? But the most disturbing item in the box wasn't a photo.
It was a necklace, a small silver chain with a charm shaped like the letter E. Emily. Michael felt nauseous. Why was Travis carrying something that belonged to his sister? Detective Hollis connected the dots. Michael, Travis may have been obsessed with Emily longer than anyone realized. Michael's heart broke a little. Emily had always been the bright one, the admired one, but also the vulnerable one. She was 17 at the time Travis stalked her at the general store. She told their father once. He said he handled it. And apparently, he had. But not the way Emily thought. Detective Hollis insisted they examine an abandoned hunting cabin on Prescott land, the same area where Travis's remains had been found. Inside, the smell of rot clung to the air. Dust floated through weak sunlight. A lone mattress, torn and sagging, lay in a corner. Then Michael froze. Words were carved into the wooden wall. I didn't touch her. The letters were frantic, jagged, desperate. Forensic analysis matches Travis's handwriting, Hollis murmured. He was terrified, but defending himself from what? Michael's stomach twisted. Detective Hollis spotted something else. A torn uniform sleeve, its fabric faded, but still legible. Prescott. His father's last name embroidered on the cloth. Michael staggered back like he'd been punched. His father was here. His father confronted Travis. And whatever happened afterward left Travis hidden here for a decade. But the deeper they dug, the clearer it became that Patrick wasn't the only one in that cabin the night Travis died. Someone else was involved. Someone Michael never suspected. Detective Hollis asked Michael to subtly question his father, to see if Patrick would slip. When Michael visited, Patrick was alone in his workshop, methodically sharpening a blade. His movements were precise, almost rehearsed. "Dad, do you remember Travis Dean?" Michael asked quietly. His hand froze mid-swipe. His eyes, cold and unblinking, lifted. Why bring him up? Michael swallowed, suddenly aware of how small the workshop seemed. Just curious. Patrick stepped closer, gripping his arm with crushing force. Some things, he hissed, are better left dead. Michael pulled away, shaken. He returned to Detective Hollis, convinced more than ever that his father was hiding something monumental. But Hollis wasn't done. She had found something else, something linking Emily's fiancé, Daniel, to the case in ways no one expected. 3 weeks before the wedding, Michael stumbled upon a document Hollis had left behind. An emergency response report from 2010 and 2011. His breath caught. Daniel Cross's name appeared over and over. He had been the EMT responding to Travis Dean during episodes of paranoia, months before Travis vanished. But Daniel had always claimed he moved to Willow Ridge after college, years later. That was a lie. Michael confronted him outside the barn where wedding decorations were being set up. Daniel's face tightened as Michael shoved the report into his hands. You knew him. You knew Travis. You treated him. Why did you lie?" Daniel's expression darkened. "You don't understand any of this, and you don't want to." He walked away, leaving Michael shaken. What was Daniel hiding? Why conceal his history with Travis? What else was he lying about? Every thread Michael pulled led to a bigger revelation. And the truth snapped into place the moment he returned to the cabin alone. Michael searched the cabin one last time. He tore up floorboards, sifted through dirt, and clawed through rotted debris. Then he found it, a second carving, deeper and shakier. He said she was in danger. Michael's breath hitched. He was not Travis. He was someone who spoke to Travis, someone who manipulated him, someone who made him believe Emily needed saving. Someone like Daniel. Suddenly, the timeline made chilling sense. Daniel had been the last to see Travis alive. Daniel told him Emily was in danger. He nurtured Travis's paranoia. He guided him toward the cabin, where Patrick Prescott waited. Together, they had orchestrated Travis's death under the illusion of protecting Emily. Michael realized the horrific truth. Emily was about to marry a man who had killed for her and covered it up with her father. Detective Hollis knew too much, and a week later, she died in a car accident. Michael no longer believed in coincidences. He knew he had to stop the wedding. He just didn't know how explosive the truth would be. And so we returned to the barn. Emily in her white dress, Daniel stiff as iron, Patrick gripping his chair, jaw twitching. Michael, trembling, held up the silver necklace. "This belonged to Travis. He carried it because he cared about you, Emily. But he didn't harm you. He never did." Emily's face crumpled. Michael continued. "Daniel manipulated Travis. Patrick confronted him. They were both there that night, and Travis died for something he didn't do." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Daniel stepped forward, mask slipping entirely. "You weren't supposed to find the carvings," he snapped. Before he realized, he'd said it out loud. Gasps erupted. Patrick rose, but police sirens wailed outside. Officers poured into the barn. In seconds, Daniel and Patrick were surrounded. Patrick attempted to resist. Daniel tried to run. Neither got far. Emily clutched her stomach, shaking as her wedding collapsed around her. And Michael just stood there, devastated, relieved, and completely empty. The cases against Daniel and Patrick were airtight. Travis's carvings, the uniform sleeve, Daniel's falsified work records, Hollis's notes, Michael's testimony. The jury didn't waver. Both men were sentenced to life in prison. Emily withdrew from the world, grieving the double betrayal of the two men she trusted most. She spent months in therapy, navigating the scars left behind by people who claimed they were protecting her. Michael visited her often. Some days she spoke, some days she cried, some days she said nothing at all. But slowly, painfully, she rebuilt. 1 year later, she appeared at Michael's apartment carrying a small wooden box. Inside was the silver necklace. "Travis thought he had to protect me," she whispered. "Dad and Daniel believed the same. But you protected the truth. And that saved me." Michael's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, he felt like he belonged in his own story. Thank you for watching Shadows of Justice. Tonight's case reminds us that love can blind, loyalty can twist, and secrets can destroy. But sometimes, the person everyone overlooks becomes the one who brings justice to light. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the darkness people hide, even behind wedding vows. Until next time, stay aware, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the truth walks down the aisle.